respect for self. Once you love yourself, once you respect yourself, once you know yourself, you will never lie down and accept anyone's authority over your life again.
Many African Americans can accept United States government governing rulership. But is that a collective rulership and governing on the part of the entire population, or is it in fact white rulership?
Well, yeah, well, it's clearly, it's not only, it's even worse than that. It's not even total white rulership. It's minority white rulership. And let me give you an example. Most people in the Western world now, and this is just one very simple example, have decided that the exploitative apartheid system in South Africa is wrong. It is humanly wrong. It is morally wrong. It's even economically wrong. I mean, to be involved in the affairs of other people in that very destructive way, particularly with a few people ruling, destroying economically, politically, and physically, violently, the lives of thousands of people in South Africa is wrong. But the American government funds governments and funds resources that buy weapons to kill black people in South Africa. Now, that's a political decision. That's a decision that's being made. The American government, or what we call the American government, decided to arbitrarily bomb an African nation, Libya, which is an African nation, decided to bomb it based upon admitted lies. I mean, they admitted to the lies. I mean, I'm not suggesting, some kind of strange spy way that they did something, that I understand something about Libya that they don't. They admitted that they lied about Muammar Gaddafi. They admitted that they lied about the role that Libya was playing in terms of the American security. But they created the mythology to justify dropping a bomb, killing women and children, young people in Africa. Now, who decided to do that? Did the majority of the American people decide to do that? Certainly not. Did black people have a way of that decision? Certainly not. We had nothing to do with that decision. So the ability to go and drop bombs on Africa, with us having nothing to do with that, to invade Grenada several years ago, to send in troops to a little black island like Grenada a few years ago to free 4 or 5 white medical students, allegedly. The ability to do those kinds of things demonstrates very clearly that the governmental decisions are not being made by black folks, nor are they even being made by the majority of white folks.
To what extent, briefly, to what extent do you think white people have been able to create the illusion of being all-powerful?
Oh, they've done an excellent job of doing that. Everything from the religion down to the cartoons. And I'll give you an example. In the religion, of course, we go into church and we see God as a white man. Blonde hair, blue eyes, his mama is white, his daddy is white, God's angels are white, everybody at the Last Supper is white, nobody black even serving the roles when you come to God and those things that identify God. That we grow up looking at our religious scriptures thinking white people. So not only have they created the illusion that they are all-powerful like God, they've done even worse than that. Even in the cartoon, they've taken the mythology out of Egyptian civilization. Nile Valley civilization, like Isis, for an example. The ancient deities, the ancient god-like figures in ancient Nile Valley civilization, and made them white. So Isis then is a white lady. And she came out of Africa. In the cartoons I'm talking about. So even 4- and 5-year-olds are learning the concept of being socialized into the thinking that white people are all powerful. They do everything educationally. We are taught that every discipline had its origin in Greece. We begin to think then, Greece, Rome, that's the source of all civilization, the source of all culture, the source of all art, the source of all things. And in the process of believing that, we believe that white people are totally, devastatingly, intimidatingly all-powerful, and black people by definition are inferior, weaker, and less capable.
Now I got some hard questions for you, as you know. This is one of the hard ones. When one is engaged in a psychological war with a racist, what is the best way to subdue him or her?
That's very difficult. And it's very difficult because I believe that there are different kinds of racists, I believe that there are racists out of ignorance. I believe that there are racists out of insecurity. And I believe that there are racists out of mental illness. Okay? Now, you have to deal with those types of racists in different ways. Now, there are racists who are racist simply because they have misinformation. They simply don't know any better. They don't know that they have been taught ignorance. They don't know that they've been taught that Europeans have done everything, that white people are the best there is. They don't understand that. They simply don't have contrary information. Now, that kind of racist can be helped by giving them information, by simply saying, here are the facts. Here is this indication of black intelligence, black civilization, black power, all these things. You can correct that kind of racist, and they will change. They will change their attitudes. They will change their conduct.
Now, there's another, an associate psychologist, a friend of yours, maybe a colleague. That's the word I'm looking for. He has stated that the more white people become aware of your genius, black genius, the more afraid of you they will become.
Okay.
For example, you look at the situation now in Japan, where people used to laugh at the Japanese, and now that they've become too competent, they want to deal with them. How do you see that in light of the statement you just made, that the uninformed racist can be helped by giving him or her information?
Okay.
Is it not possible that when you give him that information on the black genius, that he or she will not recoil?
I was trying to get to the other type. Okay. The insecure racist will be devastated by that information. And that's why the strategies have got to be different. And a part of what we've got to understand is the difference in those races. The fact is that when you sit up and argue with some white people, it will make a difference. Some of them, very few of them, but some of them it will make a difference. That is, give them information to correct them. But you're quite right. The vast majority of white people are racist because of their own insecurity. They don't trust their own capability, despite the fact that the whole culture tells them how powerful they are. So when you begin to give those people ideas and indications of black genius, it will frighten them, and they'll become even more strident, even more vehement, even more determined in their determination to be racist. That's a large number of them. Then there is another group of racists who are sick, who are so sick that it doesn't matter what you tell them, what they see, what they understand. They are going to maintain beyond a shadow of a doubt of the total inferiority of everybody black and the total superiority of everybody white. Now, that's a very sick racist. That's the kind of racist who will see genius and call it ignorance. That's the kind of racist that will see power and call it weakness. That's the kind of racist that will see intelligence and call it unintelligence. That's the kind of racist that will get very clear information and will be unable to change their own conduct. That's the kind of racist that we've seen here to a great extent moving around in Africa on this trip. Racists who don't even see you, who will walk right over you, who will see you standing up talking and will walk right through you. The invisible race, the racists who somehow are able to perceptually, with their own eyes, with their own ears, not hear you, not see you, completely ignore you in the process. Those are sick people. Those are people who need serious psychological treatment. In fact, one of my colleagues, Dr. Bobby Wright, who is now dead, who passed several years ago, suggested that we need to get as one of the categories in the classification of mental disorders, racism. Because one of the mental disorders affecting this country that is probably in epidemic proportions is that racist mind, that kind of sick racism that makes people systematically distort reality because of their profound sense that they are superior because of their skin color and that everybody else is inferior. So there are three kinds, and you have to deal with those three. Now, the last group, that sick racist, there's only one or two things you can do with them. Ignore them if you possibly can. If they're infecting your lives, you have to do whatever you can to get them off of your backs. You have to deal with them in very strong-arm kinds of ways because they don't understand you. That means you have to push them out of your way when they get in your way. When they walk over you, you have to knock them out of your way. Not in any kind of way to just simply be violent for violence sake, but you have to protect yourself against people who are crazy, because they will burn crosses, they will lynch your children, they will throw bombs into your churches. These are people who have no sense of what they do, so they do very insane things. They will castrate you, they will kill women, they will walk up, they will destroy you, you see. Now that kind of sick racist must be dealt with in a self-protective way, a self-preservative way. You have to do what you can to protect yourself against that kind of racist. The racist who responds to information, give them information. the racist who is insecure, you have to do what you can, if you have the patience, to try to make them feel more secure. You know, I personally don't have the patience for doing that, and I can't, you know, but there are many people who can somehow work with them and help them feel more secure, engage in the kinds of psychological processes that begin to make them feel more secure and invite them into the human family.